Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we've got quite a simple stream in principle, but in terms of actually how difficult it might be, we're gonna have to wait and see. Today we're talking about what can Erik ten Hag do in the coming weeks and months to solve some of the problems at Manchester United. We covered in a video this morning a lot of the problems currently at the club. This afternoon I would like to try and address them a bit more and actually figure out, how to solve them. It's one thing to point out we're not playing good football. We're not doing this right. We're not doing that right. It's another thing to tell you what we should be doing, to fix it. And I really want the input of you guys in today's stream. I think you guys have been really good in chat recently, in recent streams. We've come up with a lot of different solutions to a lot of potential different problems. So I want to do the same today. But before we get into that, how are you guys in chat? How is everybody doing? Are you having a good day? Are you having a good week? What did you make of the Manchester City game at the weekend? What have you made of recent content? What's your plans? Let me know all of that in chat below. Venkata saying our back four coming back could make a huge difference. And Wan-Bissaka instead of Dalot. I have no idea when they're set to return, but yeah, United desperately need some players back from injury. And he also asked, where's your cap, mate? I'd actually know where it is right now. We can get it if you want. The hair isn't looking... Yeah, I've seen it worse. But Codename saying cool hairstyle, so he doesn't mind it. Good to see you, Codename, mate. I have replied to you on Twitter, by the way, if you want to check it. I didn't like the fact Ten Hag said we will never play football like they did at Ajax. Yeah, I think it was a bit of a kick in the teeth for all of us. I think it was a weird quote to come out with. I think it probably isn't as kind of black and white as how it comes across, that you play the Ajax style or you don't. I think it's probably perhaps mistranslation in there, misunderstanding in there a little bit as well. But it is just a weird thing to come out and say. But yeah, we will definitely come on to that at some point as well and talk about perhaps the style of football that we could see instead. Because that's something I really want to cover, and it will go back to those two quotes which we've seen in recent weeks. Saying, good day, bro. Weekend was ruined a bit by the horrendous performance, not necessarily the result. Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of us would have been that shocked with a 3-0 defeat, right? I don't think anyone... I had a feeling we were going to win 2-1, but I certainly, if you'd have said we'd lose 3-0, I wouldn't have been that shocked by it, right? But I think the performance level was what was really concerning. It was the fact that outside of that first 20 minutes where we had the transitioning threat, outside of that, we were just outclassed. We were technically outdone, tactically outdone, physically outdone. We were outdone in pretty much every way. You predicted 3-1. Yeah, I think a lot of people did have Manchester City to win that game. Yeah, it was just so disappointing the way it came about. Codename saying, my take was Ten Hag was actually planning to sabotage this season, given the Glazer wanting to stay and won't be positive progress for near future. It's a dangerous game if you do that, is the problem. Yeah, it's definitely a dangerous game to play. Maybe the Ten Hag quote about style of play is a smokescreen. Whatever he says, he does the opposite. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it certainly could be. And again, I think it is perhaps being misinterpreted. Of course, I don't know, because I don't know literally what he meant by the quote. But I think the more we think about it, right, because if he genuinely means it from the bottom of his heart, then it is a bit confusing. Because to say we'll never play the Ajax style in the way that I played at Ajax, yet I'm signing Lisandro Martinez from Ajax, Onana, who I worked with at Ajax, Anthony, who I worked with at Ajax, contradicts itself, if you see what I'm saying. So, I don't think he's fully telling the truth by saying it. Truthfully, I just don't. What do you think of the Glazers being angry at Ten Hag for not playing Mount, which is not allowing them to sell shirts? I mean, yeah, I think football clubs are businesses these days, rather than it's not just about the football. It's about, we sign a big player for £60 million, give him the number 7 shirt, which is, of course, so famous at Manchester United. They do want that to sell shirts. I'm also annoyed at him for not starting, but I couldn't care less about the money. It's more about tactically on the football pitch. I would like to see more of Mason Mount. Except for Onana and Højlund, the benching of Mount and Amrabat was head-scratching. Besides, why the heck was Anthony not playing? Yeah, it was a weird game. It was a weird game. I heard John from Tifo yesterday when he said United need a real rebuild, so they need to be in mid-table for a couple of seasons. and rebuild. I think he is right. I said it when Ten Hag first came in. I said, as in like last year, I said I think United need, you want that short-term success. If you want top four and you want to be able to compete in the Champions League because it's such a prestigious competition and things, but sometimes you do need that breakaway. We saw how well it worked for Arsenal, having a few years out of the Champions League, being able to rebuild under Arteta, finishing 8th, finishing 7th, 8th, again, whatever it was, and then go up. Maybe it could work for United. I know this is super unlikely, but if Ten Hag was to be sacked, who would we even want to come in? And that is my big question to people that want Ten Hag out. Now, if you'd have said to me, Ten Hag out a month ago, I would have said, I think you're overreacting. I think it's a bit unnecessary and things like that, right? But I think now if someone said Ten Hag out, I'd go, yes, okay, I see your point. But my big question would still be, who on earth are you bringing in instead? Genuine Graham Potter? I like Graham Potter. I'm a big fan of him as a manager. But in terms of if we want a manager which is going to pick a certain system and stick to it, Graham Potter isn't that man. We saw him at Brighton, tinker and change, and we saw the same at Chelsea. It's ultimately what cost him his job, I think. People talk about Xabi Alonso. If you're Xabi Alonso, do you want to leave Bayer Leverkusen right now? I wouldn't. People talk about Simeone. I wouldn't be leaving Atletico Madrid to come to this club. Conte, not for me. It's not the brand of football that I personally like. Brendan Rodgers, I think would like to aim higher. Genuinely, who is there? If you guys can tell me someone, this is the problem that Manchester United have now. Who I'm trying to think of. Zidane? Zidane's not in a job currently. Maybe someone like Zidane. But in that case, I would have to kind of look into our tactics a bit, or Zidane's tactics a bit more and things like that. De Zerbi, I think De Zerbi would be bonkers to leave Brighton and come to this football club right now. I also don't think his style would suit Manchester United. I think, maybe a bit of a hot take here, I think if you put De Zerbi and Ten Hag at this football club right now, De Zerbi would do considerably worse. Genuinely believe that. Ali, we have the donation saying good morning AJ and the best community out there. I am very sure Ten Hag meant we don't have the right profile players to play the Ajax way. We need to wait when we have a full 11 of Ten Hag starters. Ten Hag in. I'm loving the positivity this morning, Ali. Thank you very much for the donation. As always, if everyone could spam some love hearts in chat to say thank you, it's greatly, greatly appreciated. Yeah, I love to see the positive take, and at the moment, I agree with you. I do agree. I think if we talk about, the 11 we've seen in recent weeks, if I can get up on screen here, you can't look me in the eye and tell me you think that this is a Ten Hag 11, right? So I think we can't expect Ten Hag football until, like you said, Ali, we have Ten Hag players in the side. I'm just tired of seeing the opponent pass the ball into a free fullback after a failed press. Yeah, it's something which I go on about a lot, maybe a bit too much. You guys might be bored of it by now. But yeah, I completely agree. Did you guys watch my video this morning highlighting some of the problems? Let me know what you thought of those problems. Those, of course, are just some of the things. And I want to focus more on the pitch. We all know the Glazers and things like that are the real problem. But I also want to focus on the pitch because I think Ten Hag is getting things wrong. I think the players are getting things wrong. So I want to talk about that as well. I don't really want a manager who comes in just to impose a single system. Long-term managers can adapt and get players on their wavelength. Mourinho and Conte are short-term managers. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the likes of Mourinho, Conte, that type of manager. It's not for me personally. I'm not saying there's a right and a wrong way to play football. But there is a way which I enjoy more, and that is a more possession-based, a more proactive, forward approach. Ancelotti, again, I'm not a fan of him tactically. I think he's really struggling with Madrid. I think a lot of individual quality in that side is digging him out of a lot of situations. I think he got it wrong against Barcelona. He got it wrong against Atletico Madrid this year. He got it wrong against Manchester City last season, and he got thumped 4-0. Ancelotti, I think I'm not a big fan. I think he gets bailed out by his players quite a lot. Ten Hag just needs more of his players. Sadly, I think a lot of our players have had too much manager rotation and can't adapt as quick as a fresher player could. This is the thing. We've got a squad still which is built off of several different managers. Several different managers have built this team. And again, I said it in my video this morning. If you compare that to City or even Arsenal, Arsenal have now got a squad where I feel that most of them were signed by Arteta, right? Jesus, Declan Rice, players like that, Kai Havertz, Ben White, Raya or Ramsdale in goal. Gabriel was as well, I believe. Zinchenko. Of course, Saka came through the academy, but it's a lot of Arteta players, and the same at City. It's all Guardiola players. Roger Schmidt is a good shout. He's a really good manager. Truthfully, though, in terms of where I'm at the moment, I'm not in the stage of looking for a new manager. I'm in the stage of trying to fix the problems for this one. Because I still think Ten Hag is the right man. I don't think there is a better option than Ten Hag out there currently. That's my opinion. So I'm personally on the Erik Ten Hag hype bus, on the hype train. I believe in Erik Ten Hag. The question is, how can we start solving some of his problems? And I think what we need to do today in today's stream is firstly figure out a style of football we want to play. We then need to figure out kind of the players that suit the profiles to play that sort of football, and then actually come up with a system. So does that sound good to you guys? Does that sound like a good place to start? Because recently there's all this talk, and I'm guilty for it myself, really. I love possession football. I'm in love with the Guardiola mindset of how you play football. That's personally how I view football, and I think it's difficult at times to separate that. Pardon me. I think it's at times difficult to separate that from what's actually best for a particular club, and it's something that I need to get better at doing myself. I don't think we're going to see this side ever be a fully possession-based side. I also, though, don't think that the approach is to go for a full transitioning side. I think if United become a counter-attacking side, I think it gets you so far. I think it gets you points in big games, you win some nice matches, and you move up the table for a couple of years. But in the long-term success, in the way which football is currently played, I don't think you win titles with purely counter-attacking football. I think English football, the Premier League, has just moved on from that a little bit. I think we have to find an in-between. The question is there an in-between? Can you play possession-based football, which provides control to help you defensively, but you also play transitional football, which helps you to attack? Now, of course, one solution is artificial transitions. We will mention that in today's stream, but I also don't just want to talk about that, because I don't think this United squad isn't the most intelligent. Can they pull off artificial transitions? Perhaps not. So we need to figure out, is there actually a style of football which contains possession football, you're controlling the game, which helps you defensively, but also gives you a lot of attacking threat? Well, I think we saw evidence that you can do that at the weekend, but I'm not talking about Manchester United, unsurprisingly, and I'm not talking about Pep Guardiola. I'm also not talking about Arteta and Arsenal, another brilliantly constructed side. I'm actually talking about Liverpool at the weekend. Now, Liverpool have a squad which I have criticised. I don't think they have built the squad that well. I think there's a lot of profiles still missing in their side. Regardless of that, they're getting results at the moment and at times playing some good football. And some good possession football, as we can see in the stats here. They had 73% ball possession, 1.59 expected assists, 3.19 expected goals, and they won the game 3-0. So when you see that they won the game 3-0, you see an XG of over 3, and they have 73% of the ball, you're expecting a side which eventually wore a side down, pick the right pass to kind of split a defence and score like that. But that isn't actually what we saw from Liverpool. If we look at the first goal, just going to look at one still image of it. If we look at the first goal, this is the first goal here. This is a side which had 73% possession, and this is how they scored their first goal. This is not a possession goal. This is very much a transition. This is very much a counter-attack. We can also look at the second goal. The second goal isn't a counter-attack as much, but we can still see they're not exactly facing a low block here. This isn't a case of being patient and probing a team and finding a gap. This is still quick transitioning football, and we've also got it here as well. For the third goal, granted there was a quite hilarious error from the goalkeeper for Forest, but again we can see that Liverpool were transitioning. So they managed 73% possession in that game, but still had a big transitioning threat. And I think that is what Erik Ten Hag needs to work towards with this side. The question is, how do we go about doing it? So first of all, I want you guys to get in chat quickly, and I'm going to read. Yeah, you guys get in chat, let me know your thoughts. I'm going to read through some of these. Matt saying, you have to understand possession to understand transition. I like it. In theory, the best possession side is also the best transition side. Big fan of that. Surely there is some way to compact the team and stay back so the opponent transitions further up. Then you can force a transition once the opponent backline steps up. Zach, you're spot on. You are spot on. We will come on to it. Just reading some of these. My problem with Ten Hag is the pressing style. He don't press the opposition fullback. Yeah, I think that's a massive issue. I believe that the balance point will be found with time, says FP, that Erik will find better ways to transmit direct, but pick your moments better, quick. Pick your moments better, sorry. Quick, but learn to slow the game down at the right times. Yes, spot on, I agree. Leads to my point about Eriksen. Erik values Eriksen as highly as he does because of his tactical intelligence. In possession, his ability to assess the game correctly and reliably make the right decisions stands out. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. For transition, you need a lot of great players in terms of ball progressing, and our side really lack that. The more you have possession of the ball, the less the opponent has a chance to score. That's a mindset I like as well from Ali. It's a mindset which I'm a big believer in. Some people like to reduce the threat of the opposition by parking the bus, being quite defensive and cautious. I believe the best way to not concede goals is to have the football. So, can United do that, is the question. Now, I think the difficult thing we're kind of managing and working with here is that, first of all, we do have an injury hit squad. We do have a depleted squad which perhaps can't do everything we want it to do. You know, Lissandro Martinez in this side would be so important. Luke Shaw, Kobe Mainu, perhaps. But I still think there's ways around it. I still think that United can do a bit of both. I do believe that. So what we've got here is Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire. These are two players who are playing at the moment, and they don't suit playing out from the back because they're good with the ball at their feet, but in the middle third, right? Not in deep areas, because when it comes to being pressed, Harry Maguire doesn't have the quickest feet. As much as I love him, he doesn't have the quickest feet. Then we move into midfield. So we've got a goalkeeper who wants to play deep retention football, but then got centre-backs who don't, a midfielder who does, another midfielder who does, and then a couple of midfielders which don't, and then forwards which don't. So we need to find a way of getting the balance. Now, it's a lot easier said than done, right? How do you get some of these players to be possession-based players, and how do you get some of these other players to be more transitional? I think we can start by changing the starting 11 a little bit. I think what we need to do, basically, I'm trying to think of the best way to word this. I think what we basically need to do is try and make our base, in terms of perhaps our defence and also our midfield, more solid. I think we need to try and make the base of our team better at keeping the ball. But I still like the idea, personally, and I think Ten Hag does as well, of giving the attacking players more freedom. I think that's the balance that United need to try and get. At the moment, we see a lot of rotations in deep areas, and then the attack feels a little bit stale. I think we need to see that flip the other way around. I think it makes a lot more sense. So, to do this, the problem is we do need to make some changes to the starting 11, and I think there's some key players which need to come out of the side. First of all, Johnny Evans, mate, you know, you're doing well, but let's be honest, you weren't signed to play regularly. Victor Lindelof, get out, mate. So, we're going to have Harry Maguire on our side, and we're going to play him at left centre-back. We need to bring Rafael Varane in because he's Manchester United's best centre-back by a country mile at the moment. He has to play. And we're going to bring Reggie on at left-back. And almost in deeper areas, what I want to do with this side is just keep it a little bit simpler. The question in front of them is, what is the best balance of midfield? What is the best balance? Ten Hag prefers Maguire on the right. Yep, he does, but I disagree with him. I think Ten Hag is wrong. I'm putting him on the left. I like the idea, personally. Now, you lose a bit of physicality by doing this, but just stay with me on this one. Just stay with me, because again, if we talk about Liverpool, their midfield does lack it. So, let's start to look at a team which looks a little bit like this. Now, we'll come on to these forward positions in a minute. But I think what we need is, we need to get, again, I'm lost for words at the moment here. Give me 1 second. Compose. We need to find players which have the physical capability to cover a lot of ground, because we're kind of doing this mixture in between. For example, we've got McAllister at Liverpool. He's by no means a ball-winning midfielder, but he covers a lot of ground. Szoboszlai, he isn't a box-to-box midfielder, but he's intense in the way that he plays. He covers a lot of ground. Curtis Jones, when he plays, Gravenberch, not quite as much. Harvey Elliott, These are players which work quite hard and cover a lot of ground. So I think we need that in midfield. So Christian Eriksen, unfortunately, as good as I think you are and as important as I think you are in possession, I don't think he can start games at the moment because I don't think he offers enough to the side in terms of buzzing about the pitch. So Eriksen doesn't play, and it's the same for Casemiro, really. I don't think he does enough ground coverage. I don't think he's intense enough out of possession. So again, sorry, mate, you're going to the bench. Will you still be used for certain games? Yeah, of course you will. The question I have for you guys is, does Bruno Fernandes need to be dropped? And it's a genuine question, and I want your honest answers. Don't just go with what you think Ten Hag will do, or what you think I might like, or whatever, or what you've heard other people say. Would you drop Bruno Fernandes? Now, I'm not just talking about the Newcastle game. I think that's a bit more obvious to rotate him in that game. I mean, in general, do you drop him for a couple of games? I want to get your opinion. I mean, straight away, I'm seeing yes, 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 100%. Yes. Yeah. I don't think he does. He's shown the ability to adapt in the role. He just needs to not play right wing. Also a third point. By the way, you're about to hear a lot of noise. People are out my house. Dogs are going crazy. Is that too loud? Do you want me to mute for a second? I'm gonna mute for a second. I'll be back in like 20 seconds. I'm back. Sorry about that. I am back. Dogs are fine. Yeah, I'll be honest here, we're going a little bit crazy. We're good now. What were we talking about? What were we just talking about then? Bruno. We're too reliant on Bruno and Rashford to make chances, like we were too reliant on Lissandro to progress the ball. They're being put in a terrible position. Woof woof. Yeah, good point. Good to see you, Joel, mate. Hope you're well. You didn't kill... No, I can confirm I didn't kill the dogs. You can probably still hear them. Wouldn't drop him. He needs to play in his preferred position. Okay, so this is the conversation I guess we need to have next with Bruno. Is it worth moving him back central? As in... if he's going to play, it has to be central. He cannot play right wing anymore. I'm done with that experiment. Do we start him central or do we drop him? We lack width when Bruno plays right wing. I completely agree. Do you not think our team is more suited to a 4-3-3 than a 4-2-3-1? I'm actually going to suggest literally the opposite in this. I am going to suggest the 4-2-3-1. Which some people agree with, some people won't. Just drop. Either put the word drop or central in chat. I'm just trying to get your opinions on Bruno Fernandes. Drop, central. This is going to divide opinion a lot, isn't it? Drop, central. Central. Drop and central. Very useful, Joel. Central. Okay, I'll tell you what. We'll come on to that a little bit later. In terms of as we progress through the pitch. What we're going to do is work on how United can improve in deeper areas, okay? Because one of the big problems that I have with United is that we've got this wonderful ball-playing goalkeeper who I described when we signed him as transformative to Manchester United. And we just haven't seen it. We will do a poll on Bruno in a bit. I just want to make another point first, because once we've made another point, it might help you guys decide, or it might change your mind. Because the 10 is going to be important in what I'm going to suggest. And again, as always, I want your guys' input on working around this as well. So I think the first thing United need to do is improve their ability to play the ball out from the back. We spoke about it in the video this morning. Again, I'm not sure if you guys have seen it yet or not. If you haven't, definitely check it out at some point. But one of the problems was that, for example, against City, the ball would go one way. City just kind of press, send the ball backwards, and it just gets booted long. That's not a way to play football. So, how can you improve United from goal kicks? Obviously, one solution is Alessandro Martinez, a Luke Shaw, press-resistant players. But United don't have that. United don't have that luxury, unfortunately. There are no press-resistant players at centre-back currently available. So how do you play the ball deep without playing press-resistant players? That's my first question to you guys. Can you achieve it? And if so, how? In terms of Onana's form, I think he's been much better in the last couple of games. I think his shot stopping has been brilliant. But I think we can still get a lot more from him in possession. So Muhammad Ali saying no, that you don't think you can kind of play out from the back without press-resistant centre-backs we're talking about here. What does anyone else think? Because what I personally think is literally what RK has just said, by the way. I was literally about to say that. Can you play two deeper central midfielders? So what we see a lot under Erik ten Hag, and it was the case at Ajax as well, is a lot of the time we see this base of 5 players and the rest get pushed further forward. More numbers. I like it. So, we're talking about playing the ball out from the back. What Ten Hag often does is he uses 6 players, including his goalkeeper, 5 outfielders like this, and the other unit kind of pushes a little bit higher up the pitch and is less involved. What if United simply just drop an extra player in from goal kicks? Now, it sounds like a really simple fix, but sometimes football is quite simple. Let's split our centre-backs. Am I not showing the board? Appreciate that. That's a bit awkward. How long has that been the case? How long have I not been shown? Thank you for pointing that out. It's a bit awkward, isn't it? Anyway, so what we're going to say, literally the entire time, nice. Well, you know, this is why you guys should subscribe, because you get quality content here. Anyway, what I'm trying to say, is the way that Ten Hag often builds the ball out from the back with his sides is that he uses these 5 deeper outfield players plus the goalkeeper, like this. And then he almost has 2 units at times, right? The rest of the team push much further forward. United are struggling with this because these 2 centre-backs aren't good at kind of taking the ball in these positions and working from there. We've got a donation. How do I say your name? I don't want to mispronounce it. Lesedi, I'm going to go with. Thank you very much for the 14. If everyone could say thank you in chat and spam some love hearts. They're saying play Casemiro centre-back, which is also another option, which we could potentially look at in the future. I might do a video on that at some point because several people have asked about it. Thank you very much for the donation, though. Thank you very much. Anyway, so one of the problems that United have is, like I said, they've got only 5 players here. The centre-backs can't take the ball and dribble out under pressure. So it leaves United a little bit stuck. If we just drop Mason Mount in here, does it go some way to addressing the problem? Now, most teams at the moment sort of press in a 4-4-2, which is initially going to look like you're almost matching United up man for man, which looks initially like it's going to cause United more problems. Okay, so the opposition are going to defend in a 4-4-2, like so. They're going to be quite aggressive. We're on our 4-2-3-1 at the moment, which has turned into a 2-4-3-1 in possession, like so. Sorry, guys, I've lost my rhythm a little bit in the stream after the dog's going absolutely mental. I've lost my rhythm a bit. So this now looks, right, that if we switch this formation, which I'm suggesting, and we play more of a 2-4-3-1 to try and play the ball out from the back, initially it might look like it's too easy for the opposition to, you know, mark it man for man, kind of cut out key players and make life difficult. But what it does do is it creates certain holes which are becoming apparent again in the football world because of recent tactics. So let me explain this because I want to get it right. So we've seen the emergence in recent years of the 3-2-4-1 shape, or the 3-box-3. Particularly last season, we're seeing it this season as well. The counter to that, as I suggested, would happen in the summer. In June, I think I went, everyone's playing a 3-box-3. Next season, get ready for everyone to defend in a 4-4-2. And we're seeing it. Everyone defends in a 4-4-2. What is the natural effect of defending with a 4-4-2? you start to open up key pockets. In particular, this pocket here. Because suddenly teams are defending in a 4-4-2 rather than a 4-3-3, we're starting to see teams are leaving this area open here, which I think is something United can go on to exploit as the ball gets moved further forward. So that's definitely something I want to check. I also think United can make more of this by splitting the centre-backs wider. If our centre-backs aren't good at receiving the ball in deep areas, let's not ask them to, right? Is football just more complex, rock, paper, scissors? Yeah, that's how the tactics work. You see one tactic, this tactic counters it, then this tactic counters that, and then that, and then that. And you just go around in circles over hundreds of years. Yep, pretty much how football works. Anyway, so I think the first thing United need to do is get better at the build-up, to stop going long. One way to do it, I think, is to split the centre-backs wider. And like I said, if they aren't comfortable receiving the ball, don't make them receive the ball. Makes sense, right? If we split our centre-backs really wide, it becomes much more difficult to press. And I think suddenly we can get more out of Onana in these positions. But we've also got Mason Mount. Now, if the opposition want to go nice and aggressive like this, take advantage of it. I think I always suggest a man-for-man system, right? But I'm very aware of when you defend with a man-to-man system, which again I often recommend, it does have a major weakness. And that is that you can be pulled about the pitch. Because if my job here, as this blue guy, is to follow Mason Mount wherever he goes, that means I can be taken anywhere on the pitch. And this was actually something United done incredibly well about 2 minutes into the derby the other day. Amrabat created a bit of space really nicely. Pulled the team one way, and I think it was it Bruno who dropped in to receive the ball? It worked really nicely though. Is this something United can do more from goal kicks? Instead of, doing this stupid thing where the centre-back takes it, passes to the goalkeeper who goes long, do we split our centre-backs wider, which is either going to split the front two, or if it doesn't, the front two will be narrow, and now our centre-backs aren't receiving under pressure. I think it makes sense. Split this back three, make it a back three with the goalkeeper. Because at the moment, like I said, Maguire ends up with the ball here, or Varane here, or Johnny Evans, or Victor Lindelof, and it's far too easy to put pressure on them, and we don't have players which are good under pressure, apart from Lisandro Martinez. So take the pressure off them, put them wider, because now as the opposition, because we've got Onana, they can't go man for man. Now, if we had a worse ball-playing goalkeeper, the opposition could just do this, sit on the two centre-backs and go, haha, goalkeeper, mate, you can't move the ball forward. But you can't do that against Onana because he's so good at passing. Let's say if Mason Mount is to make a counter movement and spin this way, drag this player out of the way, we're opening space for someone like Bruno Fernandes. Now, you could argue that perhaps the opposition would go super tight, super aggressive on Bruno, but now you're leaving Rasmus Højlund high, and we've seen already teams don't like doing that. It took Rodri, Ruben Dias and John Stones to stop him on several occasions the other day. Teams can't go man for man with Højlund. You need a spare player with him because he's such a physical presence. So I think United have got to start using Onana to take pressure off of the centre-backs and play the ball out from the back. And like I said, the other solution, or the other alternative, I guess, is that the opposition move their front two super central. But now that means that Maguire has more time on the ball. And it means that Raphael Varane or Johnny Evans or Victor Lindelof have more time on the ball. I think it's a really simple fix, which United could use. Drop another midfielder in Mason Mount into the double pivot with Sophie and Amrabat at goal kicks. Split the centre-backs wider and turn this into a pentagon shape here with also Bruno Fernandes kind of helping out. We've almost got a Christmas tree shape with Fernandes, Amrabat, Varane, Onana, Maguire, Mason Mount. We've got a bit of a Christmas tree shape going on there. And I think that's a really good way in which United can just make their goal kicks so much better. And it might sound like a simple thing to make goal kicks better, right? It might sound like such a unimportant, irrelevant thing to talk about. But United at the moment have a lot of goal kicks because the opposition have a lot of shots because we're terrible. If you can improve the way that you take goal kicks, if you have the ball and keep the ball from goal kicks, you're going to do less defending. You're going to move the ball up the pitch better. So I think this would be a much better way for United to do this. Don't Brighton do this? Yeah, they do at times, yeah. It's also a similar role to what Onana was often asked to do at Inter. I think it's why I was so excited about him as a signing, because I think on the ball, he offers you a way to break systems, to break the opposition, and we're not using it. So I think start using it. And especially when you then bring someone like Lisandro Martinez back into the side, this would really benefit him, because he's press resistant anyway. But to give him an extra bit of time as well to make decisions on the ball, I think you're going to start suddenly getting something a lot better. And I think that's what United are crying out for, basically. So I think that's one way United can improve their possession ability without drastic changes to the team, without players returning from injury. I think this is a change that United can make immediately. The question is, can we do it higher up the pitch? Do we have the personnel here to keep the ball and wear teams down? Again, let me know what you guys want in terms of approach a little bit higher up the pitch. Amadou Onana, by the way, is a great shout for a signing. He's a player I'm looking into at the moment. There's a couple of lads at Everton that I've got my eye on. He is definitely one of them. So, we've now got better at dealing with the goal kick issue, right? I mean, if you want to, we won't go into it today. You can even turn that goal kick structure into an artificial transition. Because I've looked into it, it's definitely something which could work. So Ten Hag could like it in that way as well. But let's say United now moves higher up the pitch into more sustained possession. Do you think this particular team, this particular 11, is capable of keeping the ball in deeper phases? In deeper phases being the key here. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Chat's gone very still at the moment. Funny that Ten Hag wanted Mount, but the scouts wanted Onana. Amrabat and Mainu could. Mount and Amrabat are good at keeping the ball. Yes, if you add another defensive midfielder. Can we split Marcus and Rasmus really wide up top as well to force some difficult decisions? In terms of that goal kick structure, absolutely. If Højlund drops, maybe. Again, just give more players in the midfield. Drops into midfield, that is. I think Mason Mount dropping might be enough. Let me know what you guys think, right? But what United do at the moment quite a bit is, not always, but we're often in some sort of back three shape. Sometimes a 3-1-6, which we've seen a few times. Sometimes a 3-2, where one fullback pushes higher. This is in the middle third of the pitch. But it's always a 2-3, a 3-2, or a 3-1, which has given us 4 or 5 players, right? What if, again, we just plonk Mason Mount in there, move him a little bit deeper, and just completely change the shape into more of a 2-4 shape? Because now we've got 6. It's just simple maths. 6 options is a better option than 5, right? And don't worry, we can still pin the opposition back. We'll come on to that shortly. Of course, there's also the decision here that you could drop Bruno Fernandes if you wanted to. You could move Mason Mount into the 10 and put Kobe Mainu in this side. Now we're cooking. Now we've really got something going here. Because now the only player here which doesn't suit the patient football is probably Rashford and maybe Højlund. So now we're getting somewhere. But this could be done with Mount deep as well, if needed, in my opinion. Maybe not, to the highest level to make United win titles. But again, if we're talking about the short term, trying to steady the ship, I think this is an option. What I would like to see, though, once this 2-4 shape has been formed, is then narrow wingers. Hit a forte, eh? AJ Analysis Channel suggesting narrower wingers. I always talk about wide wingers to provide the width because they're better in 1-versus-1 situations. I always say that. However, today I'm saying something different. Can we bring our wingers inside? Now, the reason I'm saying this is because I've seen little things here and there which have started to suggest it, and Manuel's kind of suggested it there. I think Anthony might be better inside than he is out wide. I can't remember what game it was. I think it was Sheffield. There was a couple of spells where the ball was fed into him in this position. In this kind of box, again, if we're assuming we're playing against a 4-4-2, you create these 2 boxes of space here. I think this works for United. Now, you might say, but now you've got no width, right? Because our fullbacks are quite deep in build-up, and our wingers are narrow. Where is the width going to come from? But just bear with me. The width is still going to be there. We just need to talk about the deeper phase first. So we've got our 2-4 initially. How can the opposition approach this? Well, they could go really aggressive in a 4-4-2. They could go, strikers all the way up on the centre-backs, midfielders like this, and, go like that. However, I personally, if I was a manager going against Manchester United, I would not want to leave my back 4-4-versus-4 like this. I think you'd be, especially with the wingers narrow, can you imagine trying to defend against a team like this? I think it's unlikely. I think teams would, therefore, in the mid-block, sit off a little bit more. I think we would see less aggressive mid-blocks against Manchester United. I think we'd see slightly more passive ones, which, again, gives you the effect of controlling possession more, because there's less pressure on the ball, less intensity. Now, at this point, instruction comes into it. Ten Hag, please please, mate, I really like you as a manager. You've got to get these players to slow down. And at this point, I think it's instruction. The fact that Sofian Amrabat was signed and he still plays football a lot, you've got to slow it down, Ten Hag. This is now on you. You've got to get the players to slow down, take their time on the ball, and to want the ball. We kind of play football like the ball is a bomb. Like, we've got to get it away constantly. Is Rashford any good in half spaces, though? We'll come on to it. I think it can work. Because I think it's a role that he has played before for United, but also for England at times as well. So we will come on to that. Bruno Mars' playstyle. Yeah, literally. What were we saying? So we've got a 2-4 shape, right? So I think most teams would be a little bit more passive. Because I think if you go man for man, I still think United, certainly against most teams in the league, United do still have better quality. As much as we're terrible, we do have better quality than most teams still. So I think teams wouldn't be too crazy aggressive. I think teams would start to sit off a little bit and play more of a passive 4-4-2. Now, the first effect we're going to get here by playing more of a passive 4-4-2 is Bruno Fernandes in this 10 position. We've got him really central. We've got him in the danger area. His best position. In my opinion, one of the best creators on the planet, Bruno Fernandes. And we've got him in his best position. But also importantly, we haven't got him dropping deep. When he drops deep, he gets on the ball too much and he goes, whew, fires the ball forward. I don't want that, mate. Get out of here. Get higher up. Let our retention players play deeper. Sofian Amrabat and Mason Mount. So I think that's the first change which needs to happen. Bruno Fernandes needs to be more central, but also not playing deep. Not too high either, because we need our connection point, and I think that's something else which this system provides. Something we've had a lot recently is we have our back three building possession, then maybe a 1 in midfield, and then everyone else buggers off up top. The gaps are massive. We saw it against Copenhagen in particular. We've looked at that example a few times. This shape forces United players close to each other. It forces these link points in the team. It forces these players to get a little bit closer to each other, link the play, rather than, having problems going in behind. So, the question is, does that come at the expense of pinning the opposition back? FP sums it up perfectly. You're creating passing triangles by doing this shape. Look how many triangles we've got here. Region, Mount, Maguire, we've got a triangle there. We've got a square here, which can obviously be divided into triangles. We've got Mount, Fernandes, Rashford. We've got Rashford, Fernandes, Højlund. We've got Fernandes, Anthony, Højlund. Rashford, Anthony, Højlund. Amrabat, Fernandes, Anthony. Amrabat, Dalot, Anthony. Varane, Amrabat, Dalot. There's triangles everywhere, right? Yeah, Rashford has been tracking back more in recent weeks. I completely agree. So, you might now fear, though, that if we play this narrow structure with Anthony and Rashford a little bit narrower, you might fear that we can't pin the opposition back. Now, I always talk about pinning teams as being really important because it creates a lot more space on the pitch. And ultimately, in possession, you want the pitch to be as big as possible. You do that by pinning the opposition where you want them. Now, this structure initially doesn't do that, right? Because our wingers are narrow, which means the fullbacks can come tight like this. Pretty easy. United are lacking pinning. Apart from Rasmus Højlund spinning in behind, that's a threat. So, how do you pin this? How can United pin using this shape? That is my question to you guys while I have a drink. It's not a rhetorical question. I have the answer as well. Let me know what you think. Bruno Fernandes in the final third, world class. Other than that, not going to discuss it. Yeah, that's why I'm going to try and keep him in the final third as much as possible. Constant runs in behind says codename. Now, you get into something there. Who are we getting the runs from is the question, because we've got Rashford and Anthony inside, which naturally doesn't give you runners. I'll just tell you the answer. Fullbacks providing the width. That's right. This channel was really, United have got me down bad because I'm now suggesting narrow wingers and fullbacks bombing forward. I never thought I'd see today. Ten Hag, this is what you're doing to me, mate. But what we're going to ask for is a fullback to provide the width. But importantly, we're not going to ask for this all the time. And certainly not for both fullbacks going every time. We're looking for one fullback going. So let's work it. So, we've got the ball with Mason Mount here. Yeah, fine. We're going to go into the feet of Marcus Rashford. Now, initially, Rashford doesn't look that threatening here. Because, the fullback can go up against him, get nice and physical. Rashford can't turn. His only option is maybe something around the corner, which could work quite nicely to be fair. But mainly he's probably going to be forced backwards. What if we say to the fullback, you can't come close Marcus Rashford down? You can't. You can't. Physically, you can't. How do you do that? What do I mean by that? Well, the way you make sure the opposition fullback can't come get into Rashford here is you pin him. Now, how do we pin him? I've said it already. You get the fullback running forward. So, what I want to do here is look at the rotation and the way in which the direction, I should say, these players are facing. Now, can you guys see those little like arms coming off these two players here? Can you see that or not quite? I don't know how big it is on your screen. I think you can just about, right? You can see that I've got Reguilón facing one way, the City player facing the other way. So, you see the mini hugs? Yeah, lovely. So Mason Mount gets the ball here, for example, okay? Let's say United have got this 4 versus 2 in this deeper position against the front two here. United work the ball into someone like Mason Mount. Now we're going to look for Marcus Rashford's feet. This player comes tight. He's leaving a lot of space here. And you may think, well, surely if Reguilón bombs forward, this winger is just going to track him, right? So United don't have much threat here. But actually, if you really think about actually how humans move, he can't get there as quick as Reguilón can. Because if you look at the way we've got Reguilón facing here. So I'm Reguilón, I've got the ball here, I'm facing forward. We look at this defender here, he's facing towards Reguilón. Reguilón moves the ball into Mason Mount. Marcus Rashford does this. Zooms inside, the fullback goes, bollocks, I need to follow him. Can I say that? Sure. I need to follow Rashford. But now Reguilón's going to take this as a cue to get forward. And yet, like I said, you might think, well, this winger's already got a head start, he can easily cover that ground. But because he's facing forward, again, this is not even really football analysis, just think of it at a really basic level. If I'm Reguilón facing that way and trying to run that way, I'm going to get it quicker than a guy facing this way and trying to run. So much quicker. FP, he has to turn around, which slows him down so much. Reguilón is front-footed, he's accelerating forward, whereas this defender here is coming from a standing still position. So they can't spin and track it. This is how you can start pinning teams, because they're scared of Reguilón flying forward. Now, what's the result of that? Fullback starts to drop a little bit deeper, because Reguilón's bombing forward all day, causing problems. Now, again, you might think maybe this doesn't work, but it does. We've seen teams do it before. Andrew Robertson at Liverpool, Alphonso Davies with Bayern. We saw Balde do it the other week for Barcelona, where the fullback bombs forward because the winger physically can't turn quick enough, and the fullback is not sure for the opposition who they need to be following. Ben Chilwell with Leicester at times as well. So, AJ summary, when defender facing the wrong side, any fullback bomb forward, defender has to shift their body weight. Exactly. It's so much easier for Reguilón to make this run forward than it is for the defender to turn around and do it. It's just basic knowledge of how humans work and change speed and things. But what we do, because now Reguilón has got this threat going in behind, this fullback starts to sit off and go, hold up here. I can't let Reguilón just bomb forward all day long, because if I go tight on Rashford here, Reguilón gets in behind, all day long I'm getting shredded. Now this is borderline now looking like a transition. We've actually played quite slow possession here, but because of our movement, we've turned it into a transition which can move forward really quickly. So there's definitely potential in that, which in itself is almost an added bonus, because it's not even what we're going for here. What we're going for more is getting in these areas, this line across here. Because now this fullback is a little bit scared, bless him, and he wants to defend Reguilón. Which means that the second Rashford makes this movement inside, if Reguilón bombs round, of course timing is important, now Rashford can get the ball in this space here. Again, it's logical. You can now get overloads in these areas. You can get Antony, Fernandes and Rashford 3 versus 2 against these two midfielders. But again, the important thing, which I think is just so vital, is we get Bruno Fernandes playing between the opposition double pivot in a channel of space like this. He's not pushed up on the last line. He's not dropping deep. He's not in a wide position. He is in the middle of the pitch. He is our creative hub for the team. Now with this ball to Rashford, can we find a setback pass back to Mason Mount as this midfield has been pulled out? Now we can find Bruno Fernandes in space. Now maybe Antony can spin a bit wider and go into this sort of position, or Rashford can do the same, or maybe one can come feet, the other can run in behind. But now we can start to cause problems because we've opened the opposition up. We've pinned them, despite it being quite a narrow structure initially. We've attacked space rather than standing in it. We're arriving into space rather than being there already. It's a different way of pinning teams. AJ, have you ever watched Bruno for Portugal? He drops deep and still gets 2-3 contributions a game. Yeah, it's something I need to look into more because his form for Portugal is weird compared to United. I have watched him, but I need to look into it more. nearly out of water, which is an absolute disaster. But I think this is a really effective way that United could have more possession, because we've got more ball retention players in Mason Mount, in Sofian Amrabat, but we're still not asking them to carry the ball because we know United can't do that. We're looking more at moving the ball past the opposition, then coming backwards into it a little bit. I think it's a much better way for United to progress the ball. I think set back passes could be huge. So we will just quickly run through this one more time. So we're in our 2-4-3-1 shape initially, right? And we've got 4 players here, Mount, Maguire, Varane, Amrabat, which allows us to outnumber these 2. So eventually, if you work the ball, you're patient, you will find these 2 in the spaces. Now, if Marcus Rashford comes inside, as Reguilon bombs forward, this fullback has a decision to make. Let's just put them back in their proper shape, sorry. If I come forward onto Rashford, I leave Reguilon in space, and he's accelerated past this man because of body orientation. However, if I sit deep on Reguilon, suddenly Marcus Rashford can get the ball, get on the turn and carry. And we've seen him really good from this position for England. And it's actually where I like him the most, as an inside forward. He's not playing as a striker. He's not playing as a winger. He's moving inside. Again, he's an inside forward, getting into dangerous positions. Now we can, 1, run at the opposition. And again, we've made a transition despite controlling possession. Sounds right up Ten Hag's street. Or we can move the ball back, cycle the ball back, get it to someone like Fernandes in space. And of course, it can all work down the other side as well. So let's move things back a little bit. Let's go into our 2-4 shape on this side and look at it like this. Amrabat gets the ball. Anthony comes into this sort of space here. As Dalot goes round, we ask the question again, do I go tight on Anthony or do I track Diogo Dalot? It just asks different questions of the opposition, and it's a different way of getting United into pockets. Now, the idea here isn't even that we are necessarily hurting the opposition massively by doing this. The whole idea is that we're moving the ball forward quite successfully and quite efficiently, which naturally, as the opposition, you start to drop a little bit deeper. As teams drop deeper, you gain something called control. And it gives United a way of controlling possession and controlling the ball, while still, as we've seen, having that transitioning threat. If United are doing this a lot, naturally the opposition will drop off. They have to. Now United can control the ball. Again, we've still got a threat in transition, as we've seen in those last few instances. But now we've got the ball, the opposition are dropping deep, and now United have some control on the game for once, which I haven't seen at Old Trafford on a regular basis for quite a while. So I think United can do it with this starting 11. The question now is, once we're here, and this is actually where I want more help from you guys, a real input from you guys, is how do we now create chances in the final third? That's the final problem we've solved. I have solved the problem for you, don't worry, of playing out from the back, of controlling possession, of pinning the opposition, of having a counter-attacking threat while still controlling the ball. The question now is, when it gets down to it, in the final third, how do we create chances? Please help. Please, please help. AJ, Wan-Bissaka is back. Do you think he should start now? Is that confirmed back? It's definitely good news. I think I lean towards Dalot still, but it's definitely good news to have an option, and Dallow's going to need a rest soon anyway. What would you guys like to see? How do you think we can be more creative? I mean, give the ball to Bruno and pray isn't a bad shout. Interesting. Wan-Bissaka being back is a huge boost for the side, just for the sake of rest for Dalot. Let me just read through chat, because you guys have been quite active, which is great to see. Sorry if I've missed any messages. Bruno can drop deep at certain times when playing centrally. For Sporting, he was almost more box-to-box than a 10, but it doesn't work when he is right wing. Yeah, I'm not completely banning him from doing it. I think it's important that he does it in spells still and does it at times, but I just don't want to see him there all the time. Teams always beat United with football basics. Yeah, and that's why I want to return to basics almost with this approach we're suggesting. Would I take Wirtz to replace Bruno eventually? Yeah. Wouldn't it be more tactically efficient to play Lindelof at right back in that system? No, because I still like the idea of sometimes we're doing it down this side as well. So sometimes we're doing it this way around. So once we've picked what side we're playing down, that wing has come and narrow. The other one's probably going to stay a bit wide still. At Man United, Bruno has to do the work for other players who aren't hard-working, therefore increasing his inefficiency. I'm praying that in January we make some transfers and sell some players. Yeah, me too. Will United... Sorry, I'm reading that wrong. But would Wirtz come to United? No, probably not. At the moment, I would say the best for Ten Hag's sake is to revert to how we played last season, to win sometimes, just to wait it out. It's a long process. Good to see you, by the way, Danny, mate. I hope you're well. You want to see Amrabat, Mainu and Mount midfield 3 tomorrow? Yeah, I could see it happening. AJ, if you're breaking down how United should play, which I agree with, what is Ten Hag doing on the training pitch? Great question, mate. Great question. I said it this morning. I think he's just lost at the moment with what his team should be doing. I think that's the main problem. Do you think Kobe Minu and Mount can play together, or is it not physical enough? It's a weird one. I think physicality almost takes... I don't know if physicality is necessarily... I don't think it has to be essential in every team. I think if you want to be entirely complete and be the best, like we're seeing City and Arsenal, you need those physical players. Declan Rice, Rodri, you need those players. But if we look at Liverpool, for example, yes, Gravenberch is quite big, but he's not physical defensively. We don't really see it. They've got McAllister playing as a 6. So I think there's ways, if United improve the team systematically and tactically, and also a bit more patient, stop pumping it, pumping it forward, then United maybe don't need the big players as much. I still think if United want to win a league, yes, we need to see bigger players in there. But in the short term, maybe not. Maybe not. DJ Nature, good to see you, mate. Is there hope for United? Yeah, just about. Good to see you there, my friend. I hope you're well. We need an overall boost in humping. Yeah, allow it, RK, mate. It's an accident. The hump and pump tactic, I like it. Sometimes it might work. All right, it might. Don't knock it. Hey. We need an overall boost in confidence and composure on the ball. Need to stop feeling like we're always chasing the moment. We rarely feel a step ahead. Completely agree. We need more ball carriers from back to front, or front to back. Either way, yep. City have an average of 6'2" in their spine. Yeah, like I think they're the real elite level. But United almost don't need to be at the elite level yet. I think United are trying to make sure they can be a steady top 4, then push for elite level. We can improve the final third creativity by making fast first touches and running behind, not trying to beat 3 players. I mean, again, if we're going on to how United can create opportunities in the final third, I think at this point, obviously, what we've seen earlier in build-up is we've pushed one fullback forward and had the other winger come inside. So we are then reverting to a 3-2, which is, again, where tactics are so fluid, because deeper we were using a 2-4, now we're moving to more of a 3-2 shape as we try to be a bit more threatening in the final third. We've pushed that extra player forward because we want to create something. Now, the question is, how do you do it? Because if you play a 3-2-4-1, we're still getting Bruno Fernandes in channels rather than in the 10, in zone 14. I want to see him in zone 14, not channels constantly. So how do you do it? Could we, when we move a winger inside, take it further and move him all the way inside? It would work particularly well down the left-hand side. Let me demonstrate real quick. So we've decided that we're going to go into Rashford's kind of tucked in initially, right? Allowing Reguilon to get round like so. United have eventually progressed the ball at the pitch. Dalot holds a little bit deeper to provide support to defend the counter-attack, the counter-press, things like that, rest defence. So United moves forward. Now we end up with a 3-2-4-1, which doesn't necessarily suit Bruno Fernandes in his current system. What if we now move Rashford here? And we've almost got a 3-2-1-4 shape, like so. You guys see what I'm talking about with this shape? Or it can be a 2-3. Dalot can still push a little bit further forward if we want him to. Bruno in possession, United cannot work in zone 14. I'm talking about final third, zone 14. I'm not talking about using him in deeper areas. I'm talking about using him here. I will be back 1 second. I need to sneeze. Hay fever is getting the best of me today. 1 second. I'm back. Watch him play for Portugal. He can play that role. So Manuel, are you Portuguese? Do you watch a lot of Portugal? Because it's something I want to look into a bit more to kind of really figure it out. Hay fever is so annoying. It's true. Yeah, facts. It beats me up every time. Yeah, what do you guys make of this system more so? You are Portuguese, yes, you watch every game. Well, it's great to have a fan all the way from Portugal. You watch every game. I'm going to make sure to tune into some of their games soon to watch Bruno Fernandes. I might watch back some games tonight, actually. Of course, it's very different to club level, but it's still interesting to see what he's doing differently. Does this shape make a bit more sense, right? Because we're still getting forward. We're still kind of pinning the opposition back now. We're high up the pitch. We're now properly in the final third like this. We've still got our triangles like FP was talking about earlier. We've got some really good connection points, actually. Of course, as the ball goes one way, we need to see players getting across. Can Rasmus Højlund get across? Can Amrabat? Can Bruno Fernandes? It is still important to do this. It's important that United attack in that way and have connection points and have angles like this. But what it allows us to do is, rather than attacking with a front five, which again I often suggest, that's right, again, we're changing approach. AJ announced the channel saying don't attack with a front five. Instead, attack with a front four with an arriving fifth. Rather than starting in the space and standing in the space, arrive in the space. Like we saw with Reguilon, bombing forward from left back, overlapping, arriving in the space. Can we see the same from Fernandes? So when the ball goes wide, the opposition initially feel that they are 4 versus 4 with the front line, like this. But if we have Bruno Fernandes arriving later into positions, Højlund can spin that way. It can be in here. He has that momentum of running forward. Again, we're talking about acceleration. Players for the opposition being at a standstill whilst Fernandes runs forward, having momentum to take him into these areas. Suddenly we could start seeing situations where we're actually in cutback potential areas. Rashford and Højlund could not work either. I disagree with that, I'll be honest. The Portuguese press isn't as good as you think. Leao and Ronaldo don't press. Leao's very poor off the ball. I see a Portuguese but living in an island. Nice. Right now. Nice. The system you're suggesting is right now is good. Mount is the weakness as he can't defend at all. Needs to be a second defensive midfielder. So what if we now take Mount out and put Kobe Mainoo in for a bit of control? Bruno doesn't have the patience, bro. Hit and hope player. That's why we're using him here. That's why we're not pushing him all the way forward into the final third, but we're also not dropping him all the way deep. We're using him in between, zone 14, this area here. We're not asking Bruno Fernandes to be our player which we play every ball through and control the tempo. We're asking him that when we get into the final third, that's who we aim for. That's who provides that little bit. He can play his style. He can have a 70% pass accuracy because everyone around him, you know, Maguire, Varane, Dalot, Amrabat, Mainoo, are keeping the ball better. You see what I'm saying? So it's what I said right at the start of the stream. We've improved the structure of the deeper phase. We've improved the ball retention of the deeper phase. We're not rotating into weird positions. We're not pushing our centre-backs into midfield. So we're keeping the ball in these deeper areas. But then once we get into the final third, go be creative. Because even if you lose the ball in the final third, we've now got a system here where we've got enough players where we should be able to counter-press quite efficiently. That's when you do perhaps have to look at some of these players. Rashford, is he right for the team? A great percentage. Hang on, who are we talking about here? Sorry. 1 second, I just want to find. Højlund will work better with a better slip pass or winger like Sancho. Yeah, I think Sancho and Højlund could have had a really good link up. Unfortunately, not happening because Sancho's gone. Don't you think Lindelof would work better? He would when it's built in this way. The problem is we're also asking for it the other way as well, where Lindelof isn't good at overlapping. So let's say we do it the other way around. Reguilon's our deeper one. Rashford's wide. Bruno Fernandes is still in this position here. Højlund's now left striker. Antony's moved inside and Dalot's pushed forward. Now Lindelof in that position wouldn't be so effective. Ten Hag is increasing the numbers in the final third. I saw Maguire overlapping. When you are thinking 4, he is thinking 7. Yeah, so obviously what we've got to talk about with this system is that once you get into the final third like this, and you're in dangerous areas, it's not just a flat 4. Of course, we're going to see Bruno arrive to make the front 5. Late, attacking space rather than starting in it. Again, that being the key. But yeah, Amrabat's going to join in occasionally. Maybe Kobe Mainu might join in occasionally. It's obviously not just going to be a fixed 4. We will see 5 or 6 players in there. In terms of the point on someone like Harry Maguire pushing forward, I feel like that's where we're overcomplicating things a little bit. We don't need to see our centre-backs, particularly these centre-backs who don't have the ability to do it. We don't need to see them in these positions. We don't. It loses control when we start pushing Maguire into the final third. This is the wrong set of players to do it. This is where Ten Hag needs to understand his players a little bit more. Having less players and in starting them deeper and arriving in space is better than Maguire just standing up here. I'm sure you agree. You think Ten Hag is gradually losing the players, especially after the Sancho case? It's always difficult to say. Obviously, we don't see what's going on behind closed doors. We don't know what it's like in the changing room. Of course, there's now talks of Marcus Rashford as well, which all I've seen is the birthday stuff. Is that what we're talking about here? If so, it's a load of nonsense. Absolute load of nonsense. If people are worried about Rashford having a birthday party, that all I've heard was that he arrived at training at the right time the next morning. I don't see a problem with it. Footballers are allowed to live. See, I don't see a problem in that department. In terms of losing the players, again, it's difficult to say. There's also been complaints that apparently Ten Hag asked the United players. Basically, he got them to sit in silence after the game the other day so we could hear the City players and their celebrations to almost like, that's what we want to be as good as. And people are complaining about that, saying the players didn't like it. Shut up. It's a load of nonsense. It's an absolute load of nonsense. Managers have... That's always been a thing. There's famous cases of managers getting their players to sit in silence, listen to the celebrations of other team as motivation, and it's labelled as good man management. It's crazy to say that's a problem. If the players were complaining about that, they can suck it. Exactly. The players shouldn't like it. Who cares if they do? They're paid to perform, not to be happy. Yeah, and Sir Alex did it. Exactly. So, I don't get... Ignore most of what you read. On Twitter, I'm guessing you guys get most of this. Ignore it after a loss. Because people come out, they know that they can put something negative out there and it's going to get clicks. It can be, this player was at a birthday party. Who cares? This player thought the manager sounded a bit loud in the dressing room. I don't care. I just don't care. No one does. I don't get why we always get these stupid I mean, I do, because people make money from it, but don't fall for it. And Codename, by the way, has raised a really good point, saying if you guys like the stream, we're more likely to win our next game and also get a takeover of the club soon. I can hear my dog barging the ball, trying to like knock the door down. I'll let him in, right? The second I let him in and close the door, he'll try to go out again. Source equals trust me, bro? Yeah, absolutely. He stopped. He stopped knocking the door down. Let us see the dog. If I try and lift him up, though, he's just going to, like, not be happy, and I don't think he'll want it. Maybe when I hit 20k. See the dog. I think I can hear that he's gone now. If he comes back, we'll get to see the dog. Codename, stop chanting. By the way, guys, Codename has a YouTube channel called Code United, if you want to check it out. Little plug. We want to see Doggo. I can hear that he's not up here anymore. I've just heard him not hit the bottom of the stairs. That sounds like he's fallen. I've heard him run downstairs. He has got that dog in him, though. If he comes back upstairs and starts knocking on the door, he can come in, all right? What dog is it? That's a surprise. You'll get to see him. Let's get back to the content. Doggo equal content. Good point. If he comes back, I'll let him in, okay? How are you not at 20k? Best United channel on YouTube. You tell me, guys. How are we not on 20k yet? Like the stream, subscribe. We need subscribers. How are we not at 20k? We deserve 1 million. You guys deserve 1 million. When we get 1 million, we get more content. We get bigger, better content. Subscribe if you haven't already. And just nag people to subscribe. If you know someone, just be like, subscribe to this channel, will you? Like, just do it. Just subscribe. Dog tent. Okay. I've made a Discord server, by the way, guys, so when we hit 20k, maybe we'll get some doggo content on there. Anyway, let's get back to football, you know, the AJ Analysis channel, not the dog tent channel. Creating chances in the final third. Thoughts? How do we do it? 20k by the end of the month, which is today. Good luck. If you like the stream, Man United will win. Yes, like the stream. We're not continuing until you like. I'm sitting here for a second. Like the stream. That's awkward. An advert has been inserted as I've told you guys to like it. That's not going to get many likes, is it? Just like it though, guys. Only half of you like the stream. Let's get some more likes going. Thanks for the shout out. No worries, mate. I'll put a link in at some point. Actually, Codename, get your channel. Link it in chat right now. Link it in chat right now, and people can check it out if they want to. Kobe Minu was on the bench on Sunday. Do you think he will play on Wednesday? I think we'll see him get some minutes. I think we might see like a 20-minute cameo towards the end. I'd love to see him start, but I think it's unlikely. I don't know. I might be wrong, by the way. I have no like inside information. Whoa, Edwick, calm down. Calm down. Was about to click the like button, but had to move my cursor to skip the ad. I didn't put the ad there. YouTube done it. I swear, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. Ali is right, though, by the way, guys. Hit the stream, right? 3, 2, 1. Hit like. Hit like. Like. Just like it. Like the stream. Like the stream. Done. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it, my friend. As someone just unliked the stream, that's cold-hearted, my friend. The number of likes has just gone down. That's cold-hearted. Whoever you are, you're a cold-hearted being. How do you sleep at night? Anyway, let's look at outward possession. Because that's another area where United drastically need to improve. We're not going to spend quite as much time on this because I think we've covered it quite a lot on the channel. Do you guys agree that just a mid-block is the best way to go pretty much every game ever for United? Because I'm at that point now. I'm at that point. What have I missed in chat? What's going on? What's happened in chat? What's brutal? Did I miss something there? You'll see it? What did I miss? Am I being stupid? Either way. Do you think United should sit off in a mid-block in most games when teams are trying to build possession? I just think pressing... Oh, yeah, I did see that comment. Yeah, I did see that one. Delusion. Delusion. I'm kidding. Yeah, check out Code United, though. Check out the channel for sure. Anyway, so when the opposition have got the ball, I think we all agree high pressing is a bit of a no-go at this point because it doesn't seem to work. Because United, Ten Hag, for whatever reason, doesn't believe in his team when pressing. Right? I still think it's a centre-back issue. I think he doesn't like leaving his centre-backs exposed. Oh, the unlike. Yeah, that was brutal. That was a bit harsh. I don't think he likes leaving the centre-backs exposed, which is why I think we see a press which is disconnected. I think just to keep saying it, just don't press then. And I'm really bored of saying this now. And I think United are actually the most boring team in the Premier League to analyse right now. Because so much of it is so repetitive. But I think United need to stop pressing. And I think Ten Hag needs to get it into his head that if you aren't going to press, don't do it. Again, United are boring to analyse at the moment because it's so repetitive in the sense that I feel like I say this every week. But if the press doesn't work, don't press. It doesn't feel like rocket science to me. It does not feel like rocket science to me. I'm just going to quickly put something in chat for you guys. I think we just stop doing it. I don't know what else to say on the matter. Stop going for the high press. I think if we're using that system, which we were just looking at, I think maybe shifting Fernandes wide could be ideal. Rashford in the middle as a front two with Rasmus Højlund. I think that could work. It gives you the potential to piston press if you want, but also to mid block. You can also shuffle into a few different systems. I just think the back four, the 4-4-2, sorry, is a good way to go. United have the highest turnovers in the final third and middle third, don't they? They do indeed. Erik ten Hag has been using those stats to suggest that United are very good at pressing in the final third. It's where stats need context, because we can all see United aren't good at pressing in the final third, and we get exploited constantly. I can hear my dog at the door, so I'm going to quickly grab him if he lets me. Okay, I'll be back in 1 second. Back in 1 second. We got Doggo Cam. Here you go, here's Doggo Cam. His name's Buster. I don't think he wants to be here. Can you see yourself? No? Sorry, guys. I don't think he wants to see you. He is cool, though. Look how cute he is. Look how cute he is. You know what? He can stay here. Anyway, what are we talking about? I need to get him like a separate seat or something, don't I? We need a dog cam in the corner. I've still got the old camera. Yeah, he's an adorable little man. Look how cute he is. Do you want to go on, twist on camera a bit more? Yeah, thank you for the kisses. There you go. He's an absolute legend. He's leaving now. See you later, mate. I've got to go let him out 1 second. I'll be right back. For those of you that are asking, he can play holding midfield. Yeah, he's done it before. Buster and AJ Analysis YouTube channel incoming. We might have to. We've got another dog as well called Loki. He's quite a bit bigger. Doesn't really fit on my lap. So we probably won't see him. Maybe at some point. Buster is the AJ Analysis channel mascot. We could see a doggo emoji when we do memberships. Buster Douglas, an iconic fight that was. Mike Tyson, not who he's named after, but yeah, that is iconic. What a fight. What we're talking about, this has been the most disrupted stream I've ever seen in my life. I have no idea what we're talking about. I have no idea if we've produced any good content, but we're chilling, we're enjoying it, right guys? I will be live again tomorrow, by the way, to preview Newcastle. Should we talk about that today? The Buster shirt is a must. Okay, now we're talking. Now we're talking. This stream is more dog than football. It literally is. I'm sorry, guys, about the quality today. I'm not quite on it. Let's talk defensively. I think this is where United can also be better transitioning. Let's stop talking about Buster. Actually, great point. Buster is more entertaining than United. Should we just talk about Buster? He likes, what does he like eating? Anything which moves or doesn't move. That's pretty cool. I can now hear him tearing up and down the stairs. Okay, let's talk about football. So, I think United can be better in transition. Can he eat the Glazers? I think he'd love to. Get him gone. I think United have more a kind of transitioning potential by being more defensive, right? Someone said it right at the start of the stream that could United be better at transitioning by inviting teams onto them more? So when you press high, you do win the ball high. It does mean you have less distance to travel, right? But it also means you've got less players around you and things like that as well. What if United, again, going back to basics a little bit there, like RK is saying, just go back to basics, out of possession. Defend in a 4-4-2. Be narrow, be compact. We know Anthony and Fernandes will work hard. And counter-attack. Now, again, this is still the same tactic as what we've been talking about the whole stream. I'm not saying United should play defensive counter-attacking football. I'm saying play everything we were just talking about. Be patient on the ball, probe, create chances, sometimes transition. But defensively, maybe go for a counter-press if you want. But in terms of more sustained situations, stop this half press thing. Sit, be compact, be narrow, then hit teams on the break. Because I think United can set traps, particularly with a front two of Rashford and Højlund. If they're willing to work hard and develop an understanding of how to piston press, for example, United can have success. Let's say a team uses a pivot like this in a 4-3-3 shape. Having Rasmus and Rashford kind of piston pressing like this, which means that when the ball's here, we see this. The ball goes the other way, and you do this. This is a piston press, right? Most of you guys probably know this. I think United should use that more. Now, what you can also do by doing this is force the opposition wider towards the fullback. And I think this is where United need to use the best defender. Damn it, I just gave the answer away. The best defender in football. What is the best defender in football, guys, in my opinion? What, not who. What is the best defender in football? Anyone got any guesses? I feel like I accidentally gave the answer away. The touchline. The touchline is the best defender in football. You can't dribble past the touchline. It's too good. Try and dribble past the touchline. It tackles you every time. They always win possession. You can't... Yeah, the ref's a good shout as well. Particularly for the opposition at the moment, it seems, eh? Was it a penalty? It's not, is it? Is it? Phil Jones is second. It goes touchline, then Phil Jones. But what we want to do is force the ball one way. And I think United also need to get better at not only preventing the opposition from playing forward, but maybe perhaps daftly stopping the opposition from playing backwards. So, we're forcing the opposition one way like this because they can't play through the middle because we've gone man for man here. The striker's marked by 2. We're being tight on the wingers like so. Man for man here. And we're looking like this. We're nice and compact. We're ready to spring out. So they can't move the ball down the middle because we're going to piston press here. So the ball gets forced wide. Now what you do when you force the ball wide is one of these strikers now needs to go on the centre back to force the backward pass. But also, let's get the other striker on this pivot here. So this fullback for the opposition can't come in here and he can't come in here. So initially we're forcing the opposition wide. However, what we're doing once we've forced them wide is we're now going to force them back inside. Sounds odd, yep, when I say it out loud like that, but just trust the process. They can't play the ball out wide, right? Because, again, the touchline is the best defender. It's taken out a 180-degree angle with which this player could attack. You've taken out a 180-degree, which this guy physically cannot go down. So what you now do is you prevent the backward pass with someone like Marcus Rashford, with Rasmus Højlund blocking this pass in here, and maybe bring the other winger a little bit narrower to connect to connect the team. That was nice and easy, wasn't it? Now, if you can force players in here, this is where we're looking for physical intensity. It's why we haven't gone for Christian Eriksen. If you can now get your Mason Mounts buzzing about in these areas, and when it happens down the other side, when it happens down the other side, you get your Sophie and Amrabat in these areas. Winning the ball back, this is where United can now, like Ten Hag wants us to be direct, be transitional. Amrabat and Mount are good ball carriers. They're not press resistant, but put open space in front of them, they can carry the ball forward. We're now making the most of their strengths. Then we can see varying runs in front of them. Maybe Fernandes comes inside, Rashford spins wide, Rasmus goes in, Anthony. Now we can play with that counter-attacking threat which Ten Hag wants, that direct transitional approach, but all at the same time, we've still been compact defensively. We've stopped ourselves conceding transitions because we've been slower on the ball. We've controlled possession, but we've still got a transitioning threat. I think it's a way that United can do this. There's hope. There is hope for this football club. Buster is the best defender in world football. He's actually terrified of footballs. If a football comes within a centimetre near him at the slowest pace, he just sprints away. He's a bit like... He'd probably fit in at this club. What do you think of Ten Hag's man-marking principle in the high press and low blocks? Because we were dragged by City all over the pitch. Yeah, I think in attacking areas, it's one player short of being good. But as a result, it means it's horrendous. I think in a mid-block, it can work in certain areas. So I think there's elements and kind of principles to be taken from it. But it's not being executed right at the moment. It needs to be tweaked, like what we've done here, in my opinion. I've run out of drink. Gutton. Like Rashford when the ball is dropping to him? Yeah. Yeah, a bit like Rashford in the air. Do you guys think it was a penalty the other day? I mean, obviously it was. Do you think it should have been? I'm of the opinion, if that's a penalty, we're going to see a lot of penalties. Good to see you, mate. I hope you're well. Joined a little bit late today. No worries, my friend. How am I doing? I'm doing pretty well. I'll be honest, this hasn't been the best stream ever. It's been a bit disrupted. We've had a lot of dogs barking and me having to leave and go sort that. And then we've had Doggo Cam. Buster has joined the video or the stream a little while ago if you want to go back and watch that. Great content. But yeah, in general, I'm good. I hope you're good as well. Good to see you, mate. A very soft pen. It wasn't a penalty at all. Yeah, I don't think it was a penalty, personally. Not in my opinion. Or again, I think if it is, I just think you're going to see so many more. If they want to start giving that, I think we're going to see, across a Premier League weekend, 4 penalties every weekend. I can now hear more shouting in the background. Lovely. The one on Rodri, hell no. The on-field decision was not a pen. Then VAR took 2 minutes to overturn it. It was not that strong to do that. The other thing I think with that is, was VAR not brought in for clear and obvious errors? I not just this decision, every decision. I feel like if it takes like 3 minutes, it's not clear and obvious. That's my major point with VAR. I'm actually for VAR. I don't mind it at all. But I thought it was for clear and obvious. If you take 16 minutes to look at a decision, it's probably not clear and obvious by definition, right? Don't know. Let me know what you think again. Hey AJ, should we play a high defensive line because our forward players, except Rashford, are pretty good at pressing and winning the ball back? So I think it's about not playing a deep line, but also not playing a high line. It's about finding that middle, again, the balance, to go back to what FP was saying earlier. It's about getting in these areas here where we're always putting pressure on the player on the ball, but we're never fully opening ourselves up. So we've got quite a high line here, but we're still 2 versus 1 with a centre-back. We're still man for man in midfield, but we haven't gone crazy high up the pitch and exposed ourselves. It's kind of a case of pressing at a certain point. So when the ball is here, we don't need to press. When the ball gets to here, maybe, now we start engaging in the press a bit more. That's kind of where I'm at in the way that I feel it should be done. Sorry, that's where I stand personally. Of course, this structure changes depending on what the opposition are doing as well. Sometimes the opposition won't play with a pivot, so you can't piston press. But again, it's just a basic principle. Just reading through some of this. Rashford, 26 for his age. He's poor in the sense that he's not consistent. He's not young anymore. And if he keeps on like this, you have to ask yourself, does he need to just become a backup player or a squad guy? I think what it is with Rashford, I think this is, I can't remember who I saw saying this, but I think if Rashford was part of an incredible team, I think everyone would love him. And I think he can be part of a title-winning side in the starting 11, absolutely. If you've got a great winger on the other side, you've got a great forward, you've got great creators in the middle. I think being kind of the shining light of a team, the real focal point of the side in any position, I don't think he's a main man sort of player, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't think you win a league with Rashford as your main man, but you can with him as one of your players. Yeah, he's good, but he can't be the person that the team is fully based around. That's a good way of wording it. And yeah, obviously, as Thomas has said there, the back four and one of our holding midfielders is completely missing right now, which doesn't help. Which does not help at all. If you go back, if you think literally from the weekend, the starting 11 we saw, not a single one of these guys started the first game of the season. Without technical players, tactics are nothing. Can't make chicken salad out of chicken. Beep. The voice crack was on purpose there, just to confirm. Please don't mock me. Yeah, I think it depends how much of stream you've watched today. I think we've still shown ways in which you can do it. We've kind of gone back to basics a little bit. Yeah, you're going to be limited by your technical quality always, right? But I think you can put systems in place to mask certain flaws in a game, certain deficiencies in a side. I think you can mask it. United need to do a better job of doing that. Ten Hag needs to do a better job of doing that, and that's what we've worked on today. It's time to drop Rashford for the sake of his own good. There is too much pressure on him right now. He has to take some time to reflect and get smarter. Tomorrow morning, I'm recording a video previewing the Newcastle game. What would you guys go for as your starting 11? We'll discuss this more tomorrow, but maybe it's a way to finish stream today. So what would your starting 11 be for the Newcastle game? And yeah, like I said, we'll break it down more tomorrow. I need to do some more research on Newcastle, kind of break them down a little bit, figure out the strengths and weaknesses, look at certain games they've had, Dortmund, for example, City, for example, figure out what they've been doing in different games, and I'll come up with a tactical approach. But give me a starting 11. It's kind of like a nice base to work from. Would you be rotating for, to get minutes into different players and for tactical reasons? Or would you be going with a similar 11 to almost punish the 11 which were terrible the other day? Would you, are you taking this game super seriously to try and get 3 points for momentum? Or are you rotating, going weaker to protect players? Let me know what you think. A couple of people saying start Bayindir in goal. I wouldn't put a starting 11. I would withdraw and not play the game. I think we'll struggle to get points, so if we do that. But yep, I see what you're saying. Mainu, Mount and Amrabat. A lot of people saying they would start Mainu. Do we think he's fit is the problem? I know he's played 45 minutes for the youth team and he played pretty well. Do we think he's ready? I think ability-wise he's ready. I mean in terms of injury. And perhaps fitness. I think I personally would stick with Onana in goal. I think to just keep that momentum. I think after playing well in a couple of games, I think I would keep him going. 1 second, I'm just checking something. I'd start Mainu and off at half-time. Yeah, that's definitely an option as well. I'm not too sure how strong Newcastle will go. In the first round against City, which they obviously won, they didn't go that strong despite being City. They weren't a full strength 11, so I'm not sure what they'll go for. Because they do have a couple of injury worries here. Like, obviously, Tonali's out completely for the season, not injury. You've got Murphy, who I believe dislocated his shoulder last week. So I think they might rotate a little bit. So I wonder if it's a chance for United to do the same. Would you play Varane? Let's see what you guys are saying. I'm seeing a Varane there. Trying to see how many of you guys are playing Varane. Lindelof, Maguire. Varane, Maguire. Maguire, Varane. No starting 11 at all. Hannibal is a player I'd like to see brought in for this game. I don't think we should rotate. The team needs confidence and develop routines. This is the balance I'm struggling with. And I think it's a balance that Ten Hag will struggle with. Do you try and get confidence in your starting 11 and play them? But if you lose, you then obviously have the complete opposite effect. Don't get why Hannibal was ever dropped. Yeah, it's a fair point. Would you rest Højlund? I think I would rest him, personally. He's played a lot of football recently. In terms of if I was to build an 11, let me just try and figure out what I'd go for. I think that would be my front six. In terms of in defence, do you try and get minutes in Region? That team, maybe? Højlund rested, but then Danny saying Højlund needs to stay for his scoring confidence. Alvaro Fernandez is out on loan, right? Just a warning, by the way, guys, I'm not putting this in. This is YouTube doing this. You will get an advert in 40 seconds, some of you. Wait, I can skip it. I'll turn it off for you. There you go. Bosh. Did someone just say Mount has low work rate? Interesting opinion. Personally, I disagree, but fair enough. Is this a nice team you'd like to see for this game, then? Is this roughly what we're thinking? Kobe Mainu. You just stole my team. Sorry, Zach. Yeah, Fernandez is out on loan. I think he played really well, Alvaro Fernandez. Yeah, I think he played really well the other day when he played for... Who's he playing? Where's Fernandez at the moment? Sorry, I lost my trail of thought there. Don't adverts give you money? If they do, keep them on. I'll skip this lot. If we get another lot come up, I'll keep them on. But thank you very much. I do appreciate it. You guys are nice and supportive on the channel, so I won't make you watch this advert. Exactly the right team. Zach likes his team. Do we have any major changes that anyone would be making? I think Kobe is a shout. Someone like Dan Gore. What number is Gore? Is he 44? Have I made that up? Have I made that up or am I accurate? Anyone know? Who are Manchester City's most physical players outside of Rodri and Haaland? I mean, Ruben Dias is massive. John Stones is pretty big. Gvardiol's massive. They got a fair few. I would not play Anthony, but that's my personal preference. Hate watching him. Who would you go for instead? Kyle Walker. Yeah, physical in a different way. Not as tall, but still very strong, very quick. Obviously, there's a chance to see Facundo Pellistri in this game as well. There's the opportunity for that. Absolutely. If I put him in real quick. Anthony needs to play more. Yeah, I personally would go Anthony just to get him the minutes back in the legs and get him ready for the first team. But I definitely think Facundo Pellistri could... It'd be nice to see him. I don't know if he's fully... He is fit, isn't he, Facundo Pellistri right now? I think he's fit. Everyone of City players is physical. Even Bernardo Silva is deceptively strong. Yeah, I think if you look at Arsenal as well, even someone like Odegaard and Saka, they're not the biggest players in the world, but actually stronger than they look. Do I still believe in Anthony as a footballer? Yeah, I do still. Was he ever worth what he cost? No. The business was done far too late in the window, but I think there's still something which can work there. I do still think there's something which could work there. So would you guys go for Mount or Mainu? Surely you go for Mount, right? Ahmad's another option. I think it'll be a little bit early, this one, but yeah, hopefully soon. Hopefully United can get through this game somehow, then get an easy team in the next round, and properly rotate. Kobe Mainu 90 minutes sort of vibe. Mainu over Mount. Do you not think Mount needs some minutes, though? I think he needs some minutes. I think he needs some confidence. I don't know why he's been dropped the last couple of games. Hannibal over Mount? I disagree. Personally, I would go with Mount. Mount and Mainu in the 11. So you're dropping Hannibal at that point? Because I think you can't... I don't think you can go Mainu, Mount, Hannibal. I don't think you've quite got enough defensive ability there. The other option is Hannibal out the side and you do this. This is another option, obviously. I think United's fitness team is terrible. Completely agree. City strength condition their players excellently for maximum performance. Even Foden is deceptively strong. I completely agree with you there. For the sake of Mount's development, he needs to start ahead of an 18-year-old wonder kid who's just come back from injury. Yeah, that's my opinion. I would play Mount, without doubt. Can we have Casemiro sometime? I don't actually know how fit Casemiro is. Obviously, Ten Hag said he wasn't 100% for the weekend. So I don't know if he's available. Yeah, get him some minutes, absolutely. Get him back up to speed. I probably wouldn't start him, though. Yeah, I don't think I would start him, but yeah, if he's fit, I'd like to see him get some minutes. He's been dropped as he seems to be off the pace. Talking about Mason Mount here, I assume. I think Mason Mount was one of United's best players before he got dropped. When he came back from injury, I thought he played really well, personally. Can Casemiro play centre-back? It's something I need to look into in the future, really. I think we're roughly there with a starting 11, though. Would you change your defence at all? Would you play Reguilon just because of... Obviously, he's got fitness problems. Always, it seems. Paid 60 million for him and not playing him? Yeah, it's a bit weird. The reason Ten Hag isn't playing Mount is to protect him, to be honest. Do you reckon? I would love to... If I could ask him one thing at the moment, I think it would be Mason Mount. And why do we kick the ball forward at 100 miles an hour every time? Those would be my two questions. I would definitely start Mount. Would you go Anthony or Facundo out of interest, guys? I'll go down with just in your message on Twitter. No worries, my friend. All the best to you as well, mate. Anthony, FP, Facundo. Wait, is FP Facundo Pellistri? Has it been him the whole time? FP, are you here, mate? Not sure if he's here today or not. He was earlier, weren't he? Hadn't seen him in chat for a while. In the future, I'd like to see if Mount could give more balance than Bruno. I think there's a debate for it. Corey's saying, I don't believe Ten Hag has any idea what to do. He's giving players homework on what happened on Sunday. What do you mean, sorry? Good to see you though, Corey. I hope you're well, mate. I hope you're good. Hope you're having a good start to the week after a not so great weekend with the football. Is Mason Mount a regista? Not in my opinion, no. I wouldn't label him as that personally. Too many for one position. Mount, Bruno, Eriksson, McTominay, Van der Beek, Hannibal, all attacking midfielders. Yeah, we still lack a specialist deep, don't we? Oh, wow. Watching highlights of Alvaro versus Villarreal. Looks good. Yeah, apparently he had a really good game. I want to watch it back at some point. Our game is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Absolutely spot on. Spot on. Mount is a younger version of Eriksson. Both get hustled off the ball too easily. And defensive positioning is not the best. I think Mount's not bad at protecting the ball. I don't mind Mount protecting the ball. I think he's okay. I think he's quite good at using his body on the turn. Ten Hag gave them an individual review on what to improve. Damn, I hadn't seen that. It's interesting though. We've discussed today some of the solutions that Ten Hag himself can put in. Can Mount become a regista? He's young enough, 20. Probably not a regista fully, no. But I think a deep, progressive midfielder who is a link point, yeah, I think he can become that. I think that's the plan. I think that's one big thing Ten Hag needs to work on. I think if you could get Mason Mount to do that role particularly well, linking defence to midfield to attack, ball carrying, turning on the half turn, which I think he's actually really good at already, but you know, receiving pressure and being press resistant, if you can develop him in those ways, then yeah, I think he can. Kim and Jay was a huge miss, absolutely. The only change United needs to do is the manager. Clueless. Only going downhill from here. Clear to see what Jimmy thinks. That said, I think we're at the point where it is hard to argue that much against it. Personally, I'm still keep Ten Hag, but I certainly see the side of Ten Hag out. Corey, I know you're someone who's not keen on Ten Hag at the moment. Out of interest, who would be, say, your top 3 managers to replace him? Because, say, obviously, Xabi Alonso comes to mind. I don't think he would want the job, though. I don't know who would want the job right now. Would he? He might. I'm not sure. Ferguson. Yeah, why not? I don't think a lot of people want this job right now. It's quite toxic. Yeah. I don't know. I think if there's the right manager, you could make an argument. You could make an argument for it because Ten Hag is struggling. You don't want Murto picking our next manager. That's a fair point. I'll do it if you want. Yeah, yeah, why not? I'll come in. I'll do a job. Give me the keys till the end of the season. We'll finish 19th. But we'll have a great time. We'll play some exciting players. The youth will come into the side. We'll see technical players. Yeah. Give me the job. Gravenberch was a big miss. Yeah, he definitely brings a physical presence to the side. United desperately need technical players who can actually play through the lines, particularly in the ball-carrying department, I think. Yeah. Hansi Flick. Flick's one we forgot to speak about earlier. Can a manager badmouth their players? Yeah, I don't like the idea of doing it in front of the media, but I think you can do it behind closed doors. Sometimes you have to. Ruben Amorim of Sporting Lisbon is a nice shout. Marco Rose. I've been a little bit disappointed by Marco Rose. Where did he go after... Where did Marco Rose go after Gladbach? Because I didn't mind him at Gladbach. Wherever he went next, he then struggled. Now he's doing alright again. Can't remember where it was. We need Goldbridge as manager. Wouldn't recommend it. Let me just double check on Marco Rose real quick. There was definitely one job where I think it was Dortmund, right? And he's now at Leipzig, is that right? I think it was at Dortmund he was disappointing. Let me just check this. Ten Hag seems to be tactically unaware of how to use his squad. Like Ollie, he has favourites. It will be his downfall. Yeah, it was Dortmund he struggled at. I hadn't watched much of his Leipzig side, though. Like I said, I liked him at Gladbach. But I need to watch a bit more of him. Gallardo is an outside shout as well. Someone I would need to look into a lot more. I'm not too familiar with him. I know Atlantis Football's a fan, though. I know that much. Glazers shouldn't be allowed to fire an ex-manager. Very true. Zach said it would be great to see AJ load up Once Video Analyzer Pro in front of the team. Yeah, give it a little sponsor as well. Alright team, today we're using Once Video Analyzer Pro. Check it out using the link. Van Nistelrooy, yeah, he's not a bad shout as well. Everyone looks great until they get into our structure. Yeah, good point. Hiring a new manager, that means we have to get him new players that play his style, which means more deadwood from previous managers, and with our owners we will not spend. That's my biggest problem. Ali's pointed out there. I'm personally Ten Hag in. I understand the argument. I do understand the argument for Ten Hag out because the football hasn't been good enough. The problem if you take Ten Hag out is the new manager comes in and he signs 3 players in his first summer, which then means we have a starting 11 with Mourinho players, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer players, Ten Hag players, new manager players. So it's still jumbled, so it still takes a bit of time. So he realises this when he comes in, so he has to be pragmatic because he doesn't have a great, well-rounded squad. We can all see that. So it takes time. So he goes pragmatic for his first season. He gets top 4. Because he gets top 4, he doesn't get backed. Because he doesn't get backed, the football gets worse. I'm just worried about being in the same cycle again. That's my fear. If you can bring someone different in and do it very differently, who can work with this squad and bring something from it, I'm all for it. I'm just worried about the cycle. You're completely right, Corey. Ten Hag has definitely given the next manager better players to work with. I do agree with that. I think you're spot on with that. But if that's the case, do you not just give Ten Hag an extra window, maybe? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Rooney? He's struggling with Birmingham, though. Van Nistelrooy resigned due to a lack of support at PSV. He'd resign day 1 at United. Yep, quite possibly. Quite possibly. Shaw is a Van Gaal player. Really good point. Yeah, I forgot about Shaw. Yeah. What manager do you think would suit our players? It's an uninspiring bunch at times, isn't it? I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. It would need a lot of research, I think. Carrick or McKenna. The problem is, I think anyone who comes in, the fans are going to want good possession football because we're jealous of the teams which do it. This is still 3 or 4 signings away from doing it at a great level. Let's get United's best 11 on the pitch real quick. So we're going to put Luke Shaw in. We're going to put Rafael Varane in. We're going to put Lisandro Martinez in. I'm going to go for Dallo, but you can go Wan-Bissaka if you like. Probably, realistically, the managers tend to prefer Casemiro. Let me quickly come up with our best team, in my opinion. Or in the general consensus, right? Evans is a Ferguson player. Good point. So, the problem is if a new manager comes in to play the possession football, which I think everyone wants, Varane probably can't do it. Casemiro can't do it. Fernandes we're unsure on massively. Rashford we're unsure on massively. So realistically, if you're bringing in a new manager, it's going to be someone who's willing to sell Rashford and Fernandes or drop them. And I don't think that manager exists. I don't think that manager exists. Which is the problem. I'm more of the opinion, unless it goes horrendously with Ten Hag, unless it really dive bombs even worse, give Ten Hag to get a couple of different players in and just see. Just see. AJ, watch Kevin Danzo plays at centre-back for Lons. Yeah, I'm very aware of him. Corey's cousin, I believe. I've heard that before. Yeah, there he is. Told you. Yeah, I do need to watch him more. Let's not get back into the hiring and firing cycle every 1 or 2 years. It didn't work and it will never work, especially under the current management. This time we stick with Ten Hag. That's my overall opinion. Just give it a bit more time. It's painful. It's horrendous football. But it is played with injuries. We're not seeing an awful lot of Ten Hag's players, some of which is his fault. At the same time, Ten Hag is getting a lot wrong. He's making life much harder for himself. By starting Eriksen over Mount, physically it's not going to work in the games we've been playing. So Ten Hag is also getting a lot wrong. But I'm just fed up of the cycle of new manager. I'm going to give him a bit of time. But I completely understand of those of you which want him out because, we demand high standards. Surely he'll learn from all of this if we keep him. It's going to go one of two ways. It's going to really go down the drain, or it's going to go the Arteta at Arsenal approach. And I'm just praying that it's the Arteta approach, or the Arteta outcome, I should say. Most of these players were still a part of our worst Premier League side. This team will continue to yo-yo or decline if the right people aren't hired. Spot on. Not sure if Ten Hag know what the hell he is doing. Feels like he is trying to learn how not to play the Ajax style. Yeah? Changing manager was like changing seat pad on a broken chair. Yeah. I think the general feeling with the fan base is to stick with Ten Hag for now. But again, just to confirm, I have no issue with people saying to get him out because, again, the standard is high at the club. In terms of for today's stream, I think we're finished. I think it's been a while since we spoke about tactically fixing the team, which is what this stream is all about. We've had a bit of doggo cam. I do apologise that this stream has been a little bit more disrupted. It's been less free-flowing and perhaps not as professional, we'll call it. But hopefully you guys have still enjoyed it. I personally have still had a good time. I've had a good chat with you guys. Got some good opinions from you guys. Got some good input from you guys, which has been great to see as always. But I think we are just about going to wrap it up there. 18 months down the line and we still have no style of play. If that isn't a sackable offence, I don't know what is. Who knows? Let's just wait and see. Whatever happens, if he goes, back the new manager. If he stays, back him. That's my opinion. But yeah, we are going to wrap up today's stream there. I think it's been a good one, questionably. It's been good with you guys. Maybe my side of it hasn't been so great. But I've enjoyed it with you guys. I've had a good stream, had a good time. So thank you very much for that. Thank you to anyone who has kind of quietly sat there and watched and not really said anything. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys which have liked the stream. I appreciate you who have donated. Ali, thank you very much for the donation. I do greatly appreciate that. Who was the other person to donate? I'd need to say thank you. We had Lesedi as well. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce your name, so I do apologise. But thank you very much to you as well for the donation. I greatly appreciate it. Thanks to everyone who has, got in chat with random questions, random answers, random suggestions, talking about doggos, a little bit of everything we've had today. So yeah, thank you very much to everyone for the stream. And I'll catch you tomorrow morning. I've got a Newcastle preview. We're then going to expand on that tomorrow afternoon. So, yeah, get here tomorrow afternoon. Same time again, pretty much for another stream. And then towards the end of the week, we're going to stream a preview on Fulham. Maybe a Fulham reaction on Saturday. Maybe. But yeah, that's a good summary. Doggo at defensive mid. Sums it up. But yeah, apart from that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the stream. Before I quickly leave, thank you very much to Ali for the 5 donation. I do greatly appreciate that. Saying great show as usual, AJ. You guys have a good day. Go United and stand by the manager. Thank you very much for the donation as always, Ali. Before you leave, guys, quickly spam some love hearts in chat. I'll help you out. Thank you very much for the donation, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you'll have, a great 24 hours until I see you again. But yeah, apart from that, thank you guys for watching. Hope you have enjoyed the stream. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.